What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Stadium Drive Week 13 here on the Storied Rivals Podcast Network. Will Ford here for the regional semifinal round of the OHSAA High School Football Playoffs. And this week we're going to be live at Thomas Worthington High School on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for a Division I Region 3 matchup between the number 1 Gahanna Lincoln Golden Lions and the number 4 Upper Arlington Golden Bears. It's going to be such a fantastic game because Gahanna, I think, has arguably been the best team in Division I all season long, undefeated, won the OCC Ohio title. Fantastic game to close the regular season against Pickerington North, and they've just been rock solid really all year long. Maybe had a bit of a scare against number 9 Grove City last week. You know, they were up big and up by multiple touchdowns, and Grove City kind of crawled back into that game, and not even really crawled, they fired back into that game. And that's just kind of the ebb and flow of, you know, playoff football, playoff high school football, that momentum changes just with a snap of a finger sometimes. But credit to Bruce Ward and Gahanna for, you know, closing the deal, getting it done. I think they're just far too talented on both sides of the ball to not get the job done. They're just so good. But this week, they've got their toughest test against their the best defense that I think they've played to this point with Upper Arlington. Gahanna is averaging 38 points per game, and UA, the last 5 weeks, Coach Justin Buttermore, they've allowed a total of 23 combined points the last 5 weeks. So really 5 straight defensive masterclasses in 5 straight wins. I don't know how Coach Buttermore does it, but his defense is just rock solid. They play hard. Schematically, they're so good. But it's really going to be one of the more interesting chess matches that I think I've ever seen, because Gahanna is so diverse offensively. Brennan Ward is a really good quarterback who sees the field really well and can make all the checks he needs. He can improvise. He's got great talent out on the outside, Jalen Scott, other guys. But really who drives the train is Diore Hubbard, who had 19 carries, $193, 4 total touchdowns, 3 of them on the ground, 1 through the air. He really drives the train offensively, and it's going to be interesting to see how Buttermore and the Golden Bears try to stop this offense. Do you commit more guys to the box? Do you force other guys to beat you? What do you do? And you know, for Gahanna, like, it's the best defense they've faced. Are they going to put up 40 points like they're so used to doing? And you know, the Golden Bear offense, it's not the most explosive. Most of their games they win, they keep them low scoring because of how good their defense is, and their offense does not turn the ball over. So it's really going to be super, super interesting. But let's hop into these interviews here on Stadium Drive. Once again, we'll be live Friday night at Thomas Worthington High School for this football game. But here's head coach Bruce Ward of the Gahanna Lincoln Golden Lions, the number 1 seed in Division I, Region 3. And then we'll follow it up with head coach Justin Buttermore of the Golden Bears, Upper Arlington, here on Stadium Drive. So, all right, we're here with head coach Bruce Ward of the Gahanna Lincoln Golden Lions going into Week 13, the regional semifinal round of the OHSAA playoffs in Division I. Coach, really appreciate your time joining our show this week. And in Week 12 against Grove City, you got to win 48-42, but you were up 3 scores in the fourth quarter, and Grove City kind of fired back. And I guess, what did you make of the way your team closed that game out? Because it was probably a bit more of a scare than you really wanted.
Just played, or you've already played this season. But you know, I mean, we've had some injuries, and you know, we're trying to piece stuff together and get through. And you know, Grove City has a heck of an offense, and things went their way there towards the end, and we hung on. I'm proud of our kids for fighting through and finishing that game with a W. But obviously, if we want to continue to advance, we got to clean some things up and get a lot better.
Is there a way to practice that, you know, during the week situationally? Because obviously, you know, there's no way, I guess, to really simulate playoff football because momentum can change so quick and there's so much emotion. But is are there things that you can do during practice, during the week that can kind of help you better prepare for those situations where you're up big on a team and you can kind of close out those games maybe a bit better?
Just because you're up doesn't mean the team's going to quit. Those teams are out by now. The teams left are teams that want to win and find ways of winning. And, it's a lesson we had to learn, and hopefully we learned it. And our guys are more aware of that situation and continue to fight and do something better this coming Friday.
Now, Upper Arlington this week, Justin Buttermore is probably one of the better defensive minds just in the state of Ohio. I mean, he has put on the last 5 weeks for his team. He's kind of put on a defensive masterclass, a combined 23 points that he surrendered to his opponents, and he just does such a good job schematically of mixing things up, bringing pressure, or keep putting by more guys in the box to stop the run, more guys on the outside to defend against the pass. He's just so good schematically, defensively. What do you think that chess match is going to be like? I mean, how are you preparing for everything that he does defensively that he's going to try to limit what you guys do?
We got to see, like you said, it's a chess match. We have to see what he's trying to do and find a way to combat that and see what we can do within our scheme to get at him. And you said it again, it's going to be a chess match. And, those pieces move, and we got to be able to adjust and adapt to what he's doing or trying to do to us and have an answer for it. I don't know what that answer will be right now. Obviously, we'll have to see, what happens on Friday and, how they're playing us and what they're taking away and maybe what they're giving us and, see if we can find a way to move the ball a little bit. But he's been here before with multiple teams and understands how to do it. So we'll have our work cut out for us.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate your time joining our show this week, and best of luck this Friday. 12-0, man. You've had a terrific season to this point, but I know you guys aren't done yet. So go get a win, man. Keep moving on to the regional final and on beyond that. But I really appreciate your time, and it's a pleasure as always to talk to you. We're here with head coach Justin Buttermore of the Upper Arlington Golden Bears going into the regional semifinal round of the OHSAA playoffs in Division I. And Coach, really appreciate you being here, chopping it up about some football here in Week 13. Talk to me about that 3 OT win in round 2 against Pick Central, 23-17. You end 4 quarters of play, tied at 7-all, low scoring game, just defensive battle. I mean, talk to me about the emotion and just getting through 3 overtime periods, being so great situationally, offensively and defensively to not only score, but then you get that goal line stand there at the end. Like, just talk to me about everything that went into that 3 OT win against a really, really good Pick Central team.
Yeah, they're really talented. We knew it was going to be a dogfight. We knew it was going to be something that was difficult, and we knew it was going to have to be low scoring. We're not an explosive team. We've won with taking care of the football and playing good defense. And so we knew to win, it needed to be a low scoring game. And obviously we were able to do that. We had the field goal to win it at the end of regulation that we missed. And when you get into overtime, like you said, it's such an emotional roller coaster. I think the team whose players handle that the best are usually the ones that come out on top. It's very difficult when you get into those situations and scores and back and forth. You think you've won the game or you think you've lost the game. And like I said, it went back and forth those first 2 overtimes. So, I thought our kids just handled things really, really well, even when we got that interference call in the 3rd overtime and they end up going for it on 4th and 2. Just a lot of guts by our kids to find a way to get the stop and then run the ball in. We didn't want to have to rely on a field goal attempt if we didn't have to in that 3rd overtime. But it was eerily similar to a couple years ago, obviously 2 completely different teams. But when we won that game in overtime, there was a goal line stand in one of those overtimes as well. So it was just kind of a crazy moment, and I'm happy for the kids being able to celebrate that.
So you mentioned that your offense isn't necessarily an explosive one, but you take care of the football and you rely a lot on your defense. How have you been able to put together these defensive masterpieces and just be so situationally good the last 5 weeks? During your 5-game win streak, you've allowed a total of 23 combined points, and you're playing against some really explosive offenses, some really good football teams. I mean, how have you been able to do that the last 5 weeks, hold teams to a combined 23 points?
The credit goes to the players. I mean, the kids have, starting with that Orange game, I think that was the first time we talked, was going into that Orange game, and we were coming off 2 losses. We had struggled. We just weren't playing very well on either side of the ball. And we put together a really good defensive performance, and we're able to shut out a good, explosive Orange team. And from there, I think the kids just got a little bit of confidence. But we've got some experienced kids. We've lost some good players to injuries, but on that side of the ball. But we've got some experienced kids, and they communicate very well defensively, and they take a lot of pride in playing great defense. And they truly, we play a team brand of defense. I've told people that before. It's not about individuals; it's about everybody doing their job. And this group has been great down the stretch at just being in position and understanding what the plan is. And just rallying to the football. We're getting a lot of guys there, and a lot of guys that are playing really, really their best football of the year right now.
Oh, the toughest test yet is probably this week against Gahanna. They're undefeated. They've probably been the best team in Division I all season long and averaging just under 40 points per game. And so defensively, you're going to have to put together another masterpiece. But Diore Hubbard, 19 carries, a $193, 3 touchdowns rushing, and then he had a touchdown through the air as well. Is he the guy that you kind of have to put your attention on defensively? Like, is he, so to speak, the head of the snake, and then if you try to not necessarily eliminate him but limit his production, does it make things easier for your defense in that game this Friday?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. I mean, I think he's the best player we've seen all year. He's explosive. He hits the line of scrimmage so fast. He breaks tackles. He's strong, and he's a great receiver out of the backfield, which I didn't really know until we got the film because we haven't played them in the past. But he's terrific out of the backfield as well. But just an outstanding player. There's no doubt that he's the guy that you've got to try to. I don't want to say stop because I don't know that anybody's stopped him, but he's a guy you got to try to limit. You've got to try to limit big plays from him and force them into down and discipline that you want to be in and where they don't want to hand it off or can't hand it off. So, he's a great player. Their quarterback is a terrific player as well, but certainly I think it begins and ends with the running back.
How do you do that? Do you just stuff the box defensively? Do you commit another man there and just force them to? I mean, you just mentioned their quarterback is also really good, but do you force him to beat you, or and put another guy in the box, or I guess schematically, how do you look at it?
Well, I think you've got to do different things. I mean, their quarterback is also a coach's kid, and having my own boys play for me, I just know he recognizes things better than your average quarterback. He sees things. And so you've got to be careful with what you do. I mean, they've got some explosive players on the edges too. And so it's not like you can pack the box and just leave guys open because he's going to find them and he's going to make big plays. And he also is a pretty good runner. He can pull it on some of their zone stuff and hurt you as well. So you got to really, I think you just really got to mix it up and try to keep them, in a position where they don't know exactly what you're doing. And that's hard to do because, like I said, they're good. They're well-versed. They played some really good teams, but certainly you have to kind of mix it up versus them and give them some different looks.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate your time joining us this morning, and best of luck this Friday. It's going to be a fantastic game between you and Gahanna Lincoln, but always a pleasure to talk to you, and best of luck, and keep this train rolling, man.
All right. Appreciate it.